Life, it comes at us like a train with all its ups and downs, its pains and its joys. How do we deal with it? How do we process it? How how do what we learn from life and especially what we teach life back in return makes all of the difference. Welcome to Life Talks. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Live Talks. I'm really excited today because I am continuing to feature some women slash girlfriends of mine who are entrepreneurs in their own right, who have branched out and stepped out, took a leap of faith, and created companies and businesses that also feed in their passion. And today is no different. I am extremely happy to introduce to you Beverly Burton. And not just Beverly, but she's my friend and also an artist, a very talented, beautiful young woman. And I get to share with you today some of the new things that she is doing. Really excited. Beverly, welcome, sister.
Soya, what's up? How are you?
I am great. So let me just do a quick intro of you to get the formalities out of the way. Okay? All right. It's Beverly Song, nickname Song. Beverly Song Burton, born Beverly Ann Burton, was born and raised in the Bronx, New York. She's passionate about music and ministry. She's a singer, songwriter who has been blessed to share her original songs and arrangements with many people within the 50 states, Bermuda, and internationally, London. She credits family worship and her parents for giving her a firm musical foundation. After establishing a short career as a science teacher for 6 years, Beverly has gone on to establish the Beverly Burton School of Music, and she is also passionate about her personal musical abilities and ministry, and has just recently released her first vocal project, Naked, the mini project. That project showcases her vocal and piano ability and highlights her journey of stripping off everything that covered her path and passion to sharing her music. She is releasing 2 singles this spring, which you've already released those, right?
What are the
Life is a Game and Fill Me Up.
Yes. So that was
before, right?
yes,
So that's
that was
already
before.
done.
But
So
there is more coming in the fall.
okay, all right, awesome.
It's going to be the quarantine project.
Okay. So again, she has already released singles, Life is a Game and Fill Me Up. And she's in the studio, and as we just heard, that's going to be we'll see the release of that in the fall.
Right.
I'm also really excited. Actually, we'll hold that extra piece for later.
Okay.
So in addition to that, Beverly is not just a friend, but a sister friend, because we have similar roots from St. Lucia, and so we're island girls. And I Bev quite a few years ago, and I have to say that people even think that we're related, so we might as well just say we are.
Yeah.
My children love her dearly, and I've seen her grow. I can't believe you're 40. Happy
44.
birthday. You celebrated your birthday yesterday, so I wanted to do a big like, woo, happy birthday.
Oh yes! Listen, I'm taking it all. Still, I'm still celebrating my birthday. I don't think I'll ever stop.
Well, you still look 18. I mean, so whatever those genes are, we need to package them or something. But welcome to the show, and really excited to have you on. So tell me, where you did mention you credit your parents, but give us a little extended background into your journey into loving music so much.
Wow. So let's do this in pieces. The first the first part of my journey in loving music was definitely my family. My dad played the piano and sang. My mom did as well. And when we were little, maybe like 3, 4, 5, we'd be having family worship, and our dad would put us on his lap, and he'd be playing, and we'd be sitting right there, singing along and really getting into the music. My brother is also a classically trained singer, so it's really literally in my family. I have family in London who are musicians. I have family all over that are musicians. So I think that it really started in my family roots with the love for music, because it was never really forced on us, but it was more just a space where we can just enjoy being around music and around singers and pianists. So from that time, I showed an interest and a passion in music, and my parents decided to put me into formal piano lessons, where I studied with Loretta Madison for a couple of years. I know that probably my creativity was a lot bigger than my discipline at that time. So, my piano teacher was like, Ms. Burton, this girl is changing all of the classical songs to something else. Oh, no. So she's not ready yet, and I think from then on, that passion that I was allowed to have kept going, because I would score out songs, like write notes, draw the staff and everything at a young age. Like, I was just really passionate about being a creator, making stuff. Yeah. And I would write my own songs, and my parents would actually give us the space on Friday nights to like take the bed sheets and tack them up and make curtains and stuff. And my sister and I would put on full productions. I'm talking about musicals. I'm talking about concerts that you have never seen before. We would put on right in our house. So just the liberty and the freedom of expression, we were really given. So that passion for music has always been there. Yeah, so I would say that's really the start of it all.
Okay, well, you said 3 parts.
Okay, so that was one. Okay, so that's the formal part, like the younger part. Uh-huh. Then there was somewhere in there where, because I wasn't allowed to be in piano lessons, because, like I was more creative, because I believe every child learns differently. And my style was just give me the pieces and let me to get freedom. Yeah, exactly. I always wanted to be a piano teacher from that age. So I would teach my teddy bears how to play the piano. I'd be having full music classes with my dolls. Like it was just Beverly Burton School of Music without the credentials. So I was doing that from then. So that's part 2, where there was a passion ignited for me to do piano lessons. But as life would have it, you grow up and things become a lot more formal in your life. So it was just like, oh, you're choosing music for your major? No, that's, what else you want? And I was like, all right, science, I like biology. Right. And I went into biology for my undergrad degree, and I studied, and it was pretty challenging, not because of the information, but because I always knew that music was my thing. Right. So I used to be in like the college choir and go to Thayer, because I went to AUC, and you go to Thayer, the music building, and everybody's doing music, and you're just like, man, why am I stuck with biology?
Right.
But at that point, sometimes you don't realize that you actually do have a choice to just be like,
right.
All right, cool. So
part of it is the culture with our parents and so forth, and you do what they say to do, and this is where you go, and you're either going to you're going to be a doctor, an attorney, or whatever. Right. And we put those, and I only say that, and I interject to say that because I'm guilty of that too. Mm-hmm. I did that with Sierra. In fact, I think I did that with all of them, and it's like it's passed down to us, and we want the best for them, and we want them to have a good financial life, but we forget that there is a thing inside of them that God put in there, and we have to discover that with them. And they do show it, but if it's anything in the arts, it just seems like the arts just never was given the credibility and honor that it deserves. And right. So it would be like, yeah, do it as a minor or play for church or at worship, but right. We're going to tell you which one you're going to do.
Right. So, and I think the greatest artist of all is God. He created. Exactly. He painted. He used colors. He brought things to life. So it's just something that is a part of us. And like you said, it definitely has to be a calling, because there is a need for every occupation. Right. So we need the doctors, we need the lawyers, we need the ministers, we need people, but it has to be what you were called to do. Right. So just that whole experience did teach me that to not live in the what ifs. Because sometimes I can think back and say, well, Beverly, what if you had, but then it's just like, then I wouldn't be the person that I am today completely without that journey that I had to go through. So I do agree. Our parents want the best for us, because when they came to this country, it was for financial security. It was for all of these things, and they want us to continue that legacy. Right. But sometimes we have to realize that the legacy that we have created is not what God might have created for someone else. You needed that bridge to get you to where. Right. And then someone else's legacy is to do something else. It might not be to continue what you've done. So just finding my own path. So that was the second part. The third part was when I got out of AUC, graduated with my BS in biology. And it was just like, all right, well, what medical school are you applying to? And at that point, it became real, because I'm like, if I have endured this much torture for 4 years, I am not going to sell my soul for the next 10 years, to be a doctor. Like that is not going to happen. Because if I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a pediatrician, which means that I have to specialize. Right. No one's spending that much, sorry, not doing it. All right. So moving on from that, the third part of my experience was teaching in the Board of Education. I taught math and science, and I enjoyed it because it was an opportunity to interact with kids. And that's where I kind of learned what my real passion was, which is why I left the Board of Ed. So I realized that my real passion was teaching people how to be free, right? Because my experience was not really having the freedom to do what I knew I should have done. Right. Because certain foundational things that I needed, I didn't really learn, because in school, they're not really teaching you about discipline. They're expecting you to already come knowing certain things. Yes, yes. They're teaching about trigonometry and all of these other things that you're like, okay, well, how do I apply this to my real life? So teaching in the Board of Education for about 6 years, I woke up one morning and I was like, no, this is my last year at the Board of Ed. Told my family, and they were not happy with it at all. Can you imagine? But at that point, I'm like, Beverly, you are way into your 20s. Right. This is do or die. Right. I started doing the math, and I was like, all right, everybody's given at least 65 years. You're way into your 20s, which means that you have about 40 years left, average. Like people live longer than that, but or less, And I'm like, am I gonna look at it as the rest of my life? Like, it's short. Right. And once I began to look at life as time, I began to say, okay, well, we're gonna make a different decision. Right. And that was my last year in the Board of Education. I went to Lehman College and I did my degree in music. And from that moment on, almost 12 years, 11 years ago, I have been a full-time piano teacher and vocal coach. And I have been working with the Beverly Burton School of Music and just doing what God asked me to do. And I see the fruits of obedience. And that's where I am. So that's 3 parts. When I was little, in college, and when I quit the Board of Education and decided to make the best out of the time that God had given me to left.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said there were many gems which you just dropped, because I was like, yes, and I'm so glad, because my hope in doing this series is really for, if there's a young girl, my hope, if there's a young girl or an older person who knows that there's something burning inside, and they just don't know how. They don't know how, or they're in an environment where they're being told to do something else or to dummy it down. but it's that thing that's burning inside of them. I'm hoping that through this series that they'll get to see you phenomenal women share your story, including the vulnerable parts of it where it just wasn't working out the way you wanted to, but how somehow you found the light at the end of the tunnel and had the courage to say yes to your dreams and your calling, even if that meant saying no to everybody else's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then to see you thriving, to see this beautiful smile, to see 11 years later that you're so at peace, because you know you could have been very well off as a doctor. There's no doubt about it. But would you have been happy? Would there have been joy? Would you have been satisfied at the end of the evening saying, I am doing what I love? And yes, I should pay for it. So this is where I'm hoping that people can break free, even if it means that you have to start over, which is okay sometimes. But this is one thing I was taught during one of my therapy lessons, counseling, therapy, this concept of time. How much do you have left?
Right.
When you look at it and you measure it in years left and seeing what each cluster of 10 years is supposed to bring developmentally, even as a woman, then reality hits home like, okay, if I only have such and such and such left, plus I have to deal with everything I'm going to go through as a woman, let me make this thing count. So I'm really happy that you said that. So, okay, Beverly Burton School of Music.
Yes.
What ages do you, okay, first of all, what ages do you cater to? Where are you located? And if there's a parent that says, okay, I want that woman to teach my child freedom and creativity, how would they be able to reach you? Are you virtual? Are you physical? Tell me.
Good question. So ages that I cater to is ages 4 all the way to adult. Okay. So I have an adult class running right now. That's amazing. We're doing a Zoom class and they're just learning and thriving and growing musically and reaching their goals, which is great. The little ones who are 4, I have a program called Musical Mind. I just actually did a book for, I don't have the book physically, but this is the cover of the book. And it is for 4 and 5-year-olds who have never taken piano lessons before, but the teachers are parents or other teachers, classroom teachers who have never or have very little musical experience can teach kids the basic foundation of music. So we start that young. We get the parents really involved because I believe that when it comes to the arts, there has to be a village mentality in raising this child. It's the teacher, it's the student, it's the parents, it's the supporters. Like, that's what's going to make this child a complete musician. So a lot of times parents will drop the kids off and say, okay, we'll pick them up in 30 minutes. And I'm just like, no, I'd like you to sit in on the lesson so you can, like, and they're like, well, I don't know anything about music. And I'm like, trust me, we're going to do it so simple that you're probably going to be playing these songs by the time you're finished. So,
yeah, let's let it pass.
All right. So yeah, just giving the parents an opportunity to absorb what the kid is learning and be their coach at the end of the day and get them through the courses. And then all of the ages in between. The lessons that I give are virtually, of course, because now, but it's crazy how God had set it up where I was doing virtual from September. Oh. So before I even knew that this was going to hit, we were doing virtual. So by the time it did,
it was prepared. A transition, yeah.
And I gave my clients the month of June off. But guess what? I was teaching all through June because all of May, I was getting more clients just because this is just what I did from September and already had a handle on it. So God, it was like already before the situation.
Yeah.
So we do it virtually and I'm considering keeping it virtual. I have a few Florida clients and Maryland clients. So I'm just seeing where the transition. Yeah, we've had 2 recitals already online. Wow. The kids are doing well. The parents are happy. We even had a recital where the students had to teach their parent a song. So the kid played their piece, and then the student played their piece, and then they would introduce their parent. The parent came and introduced their piece and played it, and then they both took a bow together. So I'm all about connecting community. Like, it's so important. It's not just a kid standing alone.
Right.
It is a kid feeling well supported in a community, because I think that that's what we need. You know, when you look at all of these other communities out there who thrive on piano or thrive on music, it's because they really have a sense of community that their kid thrives on. And then we try to take that same model without community to gain.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Like, you have to build that foundation. And if you're going to model something, you model it all the way down to the foundation. So even as Black people, I will say that we need to have a better sense of community so that our young people could feel better supported. So when they get out there, they're not little birds just flying. They come from a pack of support. And that's what Beverly Burton School of Music is about. Connecting community, supporting our young people so that they can be complete enough to reach their goals and feel good about doing it. You know?
And I think it's so important with that too, because when the discouragements come, which most often do, you know, you trip and you fall, it is any learning experience, that they're not looking around and have to try to pick themselves up by themselves, you know. So because a parent already kind of knows, they can actually maybe remind them of some of the basic principles that they've learned and taught. And as they're listening to the teacher, remind them of maybe some encouragement the teacher has given to the child. So when you're not around, the parent can still rehearse the things that they've heard the child respond to.
Listen, and just a connectivity where the parents actually are humbled just a little bit more. Because now that they have to, and this is an experience that I went through. That's why I totally believe that when you are dealing with character and modeling, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do. So I have come to the point where I'm like, Lord, let my words and my actions line up. Because we come from a culture, oh, don't worry, I'll do that, and I'll do that, and I'll do that. And people never do it. So you begin to lose faith in that community that you're a part of, but holding ourselves as adults accountable that my words is all I have. I don't, you know, when I came into this world, I wasn't rich. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything else. I don't own mansions my word is all I have. When God spoke and it was done, that was all that he had. And it was the most powerful thing, which was his word. So, but even my parents, it's just like their kids giving them high fives. You know, they're sending me videos. The kids are like, go ahead, mom, go ahead, mom. And it's just like a sense of exchange, where it's not just a parent telling the child what to do, but now it's the parent seeing that the child brings a level of knowledge to the table. And then the child trusting the parent because they're actually seeing them doing what they're asking them to do. Girl, but that's my experience, because I'm coming from a place where I trusted hard. And for me, I was seriously disappointed in my church, in my family, in people who said they would be there. But the challenge was God saying to me, listen, you can't be disappointed in people. You have to realize that systems will fail. But when you do come to the knowledge of true character, then you begin to live it. And if people can't be that to you, that's cool. But you need to learn to be that to other people. And I realized that when I was keeping my word, it would ignite this thing in someone else to keep their word. And when I was being a woman of character, it would incite that in others. So the statement is true, that you have to be the change that you want to see. You can't complain about it. So I'm just really excited about what Beverly Burton School of Music represents, you know, especially in this time that
I'm pretty excited. So now you don't play just the piano. What other instruments do you play?
All right, so I play the guitar, I play the cello, which is my love child. I'm in New York City, so you know how that happens.
That's okay. We're just gonna leave it in. That's fine.
So that's cool. So the cello is like my love child. I love that thing. It broke, and I am in the process of working on getting another one. And I don't know if you know Michael Bent, who plays the cello.
Yeah.
He's well known in the Adventist community as a cellist, teacher. He's gonna be my teacher, but yep. And I sing. So I use my voice as an instrument. So
Awesome.
those are my three main instruments outside of piano.
Awesome. Now, there is something really exciting that I'm leading up to. I think you hinted on it a little bit. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Life Talks. I hope that you were inspired and that you have felt a rejuvenation in your life. And I hope that what you are saying right now is that the answer that you are given to what life has thrown at you is that I am still here. Email us with your Life Talk ideas at mylifetalkstv@gmail.com. See you next time. Bye.